With another year nearly at an end, it's time to take a look back at what JRPGs had to offer. When it comes to Japanese role-playing games, there's always something to look forward to, be it old titles you've missed out on or new releases. This genre truly strives when it comes to quality and consistency. There's always something new to play. Just a few things to say before I get into my personal favourites that I played this year. Firstly, to help keep things interesting, I'm going to be counting any JRPG that I've beaten in 2024. This means that I'll be counting games which came out this year as well as titles that came out before, since at the end of the day everyone's gaming journey is unique and keeping up with the classics is just as important as keeping up with what's new. No one's played everything. Also, every game on this list I've at the very least reached the credits to, but everything here will be spoiler free. And with all that out of the way, let's get started with number 10. Kicking off this list we have Visions of Mana. This game really captivated me with its incredible art style and world. Whilst the story didn't throw me away or anything, what's there is enough, and it really is a journey of a destination kind of game. The amount of customization that's on display here is impressive. Every party member can switch out classes to better fit a specific role. By far, the combat and exploration was my favourite part. It looks a little all over the place in this footage, but the amount of moves you can learn alongside dodging attacks made combat feel unique and interesting. A lot of JRPGs typically feel flat when it comes to level design, but Visions of Mana has actual platforming sections alongside puzzles which really made it stand out more to me. I wish we had more platforming in JRPGs, but I get that isn't what they're known for, it's just implemented very well here. This game has quickly become my favourite of what I played in the series and will definitely say that it was well worth the wait for a new entry. I really hope this title lets Square know that we want more Mana games, but it's kinda gone under the radar since its launch, which is a shame since its success is well deserved in my opinion. Anyway, moving on to the next entry on this list. At number 9 we have a bit of an eyebrow raiser, but please hear me out. It's 2020 Sakura Wars, which released exclusively on the PlayStation 4. This entry is a soft reboot in Sega's long-running Sakura Wars series, which are these games mainly only popular in Japan that are part action and part romancing style of JRPGs. Straight off the bat, this game really drew me in with its unique charm and cast of memorable characters. Everyone has their own backstories and hopes that they want to achieve as you play as the leader of the Flower Division to help Japan fight against these demons. Funnily enough, I found myself liking the main character, Kamiyama, the most. His overall backstory with wanting to move away from his past mistakes in the Navy as a captain made him a very sympathetic protagonist as you see him regain his optimism throughout the story. Male protagonists in these kinds of settings can be very difficult to write in a likeable sense, so most writers kinda just cop out and make them a self-insert, but not here. There's a bit of a stigma when it comes to romance games, but I will very much openly admit when it's done right, and Sakura Wars is where it's at. Unlike the more unapologetic romancing games out there, Sakura Wars has a lot of dignity for its subgenre, leaning more into the comedic side of things but never at the expense of another character or for cheap fan service. If you look beyond the surface, Sakura Wars is an incredible game that feels like watching an anime. Each chapter follows one of the main heroines as you learn about their past and what made them want to become a member of the Flower Division. The feel-good nature of this game really made me feel more optimistic in general with its messaging, having you follow out your passions in life. Playing Sakura Wars during the early days of making this channel really helped me stay motivated to want to make videos and following ideas through to the end. Gaming can be a very powerful thing sometimes. This game will really make you feel that blinding optimism that Japanese media is really good at constructing. Seriously though, if you're looking for a bright, feel-good game with a likable cast, this game has it in spades. The actual combat part of Sakura Wars are these fun, fast-paced mech fighting sections similar to the Dynasty Warriors games where you attack with light and heavy inputs to build up enough meter to launch a super move. I wish this game made more of a splash when it released. Unfortunately, it's kinda gone under the radar and become something of a hidden gem. I really enjoyed this title's unique flair and vibe. I can only hope that this series can find its footing in the West one day. Anyway, moving on to the next game. Vanillaware are known for making some of the most unique gaming experiences out there, and their latest release, Unicorn Overlord, is no exception to this. This game is an incredible strategy RPG with it feeling similar to the Fire Emblem series. What sets Unicorn Overlord apart, however, is how open everything is. For a lot of the missions, you can tackle them in different orders, really allowing you to pace yourself and control how difficult you want your experience to be. Sometimes I find strategy RPGs to be a little too grindy and unforgiving, especially when it comes to ambushes, but Unicorn Overlord's gameplay is incredibly smooth, allowing you to see all units and to change movement on the fly. Vanillaware's incredible character designs and hand-drawn art style really shines here once again. This game is also perfect for newcomers of the genre. My only slight complaint with this game was how the story kept its pacing. I wish some concepts and race races were more fleshed out, but what was here was a fun journey. Gameplay wise, next to Fire Emblem, I will say that this is some of the very best that this genre has to offer. Building up units and discovering side content is as fun as ever here. I can only wait with anticipation and bated breath over what Vanillaware has cooking for their next game. For number 7, we have a title I've always wanted to play and finally got around to it this year. That being the 6th generation classic Tales of Symphonia. One thing that really surprised me by this title is how much it reminded me of the first Xenoblade game. The main character Lloyd is very likeable, and discovering how this world functions with its different races and cast kept me very invested throughout the game's surprisingly long runtime. The battling in Tales of Symphonia is this very unique concept. The whole thing felt very beat 'em up style, and you can even play these sections in a group with 4 other people. You can tell this game was designed with beginners in mind because of this fairly simplistic battle system. It's still fun though, finding ways to string together combos to juggle your opponent. I would definitely recommend this title to a newcomer who's looking into getting into these kinds of games. There's a good amount to discover here, and this game managed to make me laugh with its writing. I like how it can take itself serious but also knows when to be lighthearted and fun.
Here, it's hot coffee.
Thanks.
Hot, isn't it?
Yeah, really hot.
It's actually iced coffee.
What?
I had Genus make it cold.
Oh, yeah. Of course it's cold.
I lied. It's actually hot. I knew it!
Also, guys, there's a GameCube in this game. I played the PlayStation 5 version and it's right there. Don't tell Nintendo about this, they won't be happy seeing their system on a competitor. At number 6, we have Atelier Sophie 2, Alchemist of the Mysterious Dream. There's an extremely high chance you might have missed this game when it first released. Fun fact, Atelier Sophie 2 came out the same day as Elden Ring of all games back in 2022, which is why you might have missed its original launch. What set this title apart to me from other Atelier games is just how well the pacing is. Without saying too much, this is the first and only time an Atelier game has made me cry from its narrative. If you like stories similar to Link's Awakening or Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories where they play with the idea of, well, memories, then this might be something for you. The alchemy system the series is known for was also really well implemented in this entry. It felt at its most easiest to understand. From an outsider's perspective, these games may seem like simple slice of life experiences, but trust me, the alchemy item creation in these games is extremely in depth, especially when you consider how old the series is. I enjoyed Atelier Sophie 2 so much that I even went out of my way to platinum it. Sophie is definitely my favourite protagonist in this series from the titles I've played, and finishing this game made me want to get through the rest of the Mysterious arc, which I recently finished and can say it was well worth it, but this is my favourite. At number 5, we have Dragon Quest VIII. Now this is something special. This is hands down my favourite Dragon Quest game. I loved how simple yet charming this whole narrative was. It's hard to describe, but the whole concept of this curse that keeps lingering throughout the journey you take as you chase it down and endure many failures on the way to triumph really made this experience stick out to me. It's not so much just about defeating the bad guy as it is constantly getting knocked down until you're strong enough. Everything about this game is extremely memorable. I just want to say as well that the music score for this game in particular with the overworld is so beautiful. It really embodies the feeling of going on a journey but in a more gentle tone. It never got old. I was playing Dragon Quest VIII on my 3DS at the start of the year and ended up going through the post game. It followed me everywhere at the time. I also liked how similar to Earthbound on Mother 3, the original release only had 4 party members, you couldn't switch them out. There's something really cool and minimal about a small party size in JRPGs. Here's hoping Square Enix re-releases these games on modern platforms so that more people can appreciate them. At number 4, we have Metaphor ReFantasia, which was awarded for Best Narrative this year at the Game Awards. Finally, a Persona team developed game free from the high school setting. I know we had Catherine, but this feels more like a successor to Persona than something completely different like a puzzle game. I could tell even from the demo that this was going to be something special. The voice acting is amazing in this game and it really sells you on its fantasy world, and like Xenoblade, it's just fun and at times made me laugh.
In this world, one can become anything they desire. Neither birth nor status decides your occupation.
Huh, sounds grand, that. You think this place really exists?
Of course not, you muppet.
Each party member is a different race, so the designs really stand out here and really fits with the narrative of freedom. It's nice seeing more visual diversity in a JRPG. I did have a slight grievance with the main villain Louise. I'll spare the spoiler side of things, but with the game's runtime being on the longer side of things and with it only having one main villain, it might have suffered because of this. For instance, Metaphor is about as long as vanilla Persona 5 and that game had many different villains to keep the pace in, but here it's just Louise and his henchmen. I felt like he wasn't as strongly written as he could have been with say Persona 4's main villain. Anyway, this is literally my my only negative, the rest of the experience is what I would say is the best Atlus has ever put out. The combat has tons of customization, even more than Xenoblade 3 with the amount of classes you can switch between. The journey you go on, similar to Dragon Quest VIII, really feels grand. There's even a world map giving you a better sense of the game's scale. I hope they use the good aspects of this game in the next mainline Persona title. Seriously though, this game is the biggest experience on this list in terms of runtime, well, this and the next entry. Also, Galaga is the best sidekick the Persona devs have ever made, it's not even a competition. Anyway, moving on. At number 3 we have the latest entry in a criminally underrated series, that being Trails Through Daybreak. I did a bit of an amateur review of this title earlier this year, but needless to say it has by far exceeded my expectations. With the Trails series, every installment is as important as the last. Daybreak is the first entry in the Nation of Calvert arc where we see both new and familiar faces after a time skip. I really don't have any complaints on this one, it fully delivered, even letting us see some of my favourite characters from previous games like Ren. This time around, given the new game engine, loading is much more seamless and battling is so smooth, allowing you to pick between an action and traditional turn-based JRPG. I easily spent the most amount of time in this game out of any other this year, mainly because of the amount of side content. Being a fan of this series is incredible. The time invested between these long installments really allows the world of Samoria to feel fully realised. I'm highly anticipating Daybreak 2 that releases next year. I'll have to move on from this entry however, or we'll be here all day. So what do you get when you combine an almost infinite amount of budget, polish and talent? You get Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This game is the definition of fun. Every cutscene and voice acting moment had me smiling. We now have this huge open world to explore on top of the already amazing battle system from Remake with new improvements. The amount of side quests and things to do here is incredible. I typically hate card games, but Queen's Blood easily tops Triple Triad for me as the definitive Final Fantasy card game. Seeing old locations and plot beats remade and reimagined felt like a rollercoaster of non-stop surprises. This remake project is one of the most ambitious gaming ideas I've ever seen. I only hope Square Enix profits more from it and knows that this is what fans want. I can only hold out with bated breath until part 3 drops. Also, I'm fairly certain it will be called Reunion. It makes so much sense if you've been following these games. Rebirth is my favourite Final Fantasy game I've played so far. It really impressed me, so that begs the question, what could possibly top all these games at number 1? Valkyrie Profile 2 Sumeria. This is an incredibly niche and forgotten game, but allow me to explain what makes it so high on this list. Valkyrie Profile 2 is the prequel to Lenith, following the second out of the 3 Valkyries, Sumeria. Your main protagonist however is Alicia. She shares personalities with Sumeria for plot reasons, making for a very unique character dynamic. I think where this game had me most was in, well, it's everything. The world is this gorgeous PlayStation 2 era vista, which has aged incredibly well. The main protagonist Alicia is my favourite female lead I've ever seen before. She's written in a very down-to-earth way, and I related a lot to her at times, which is what I like to see in the main character. Without mentioning spoilers, the amount of hardship she witnesses and carries on with alongside the conflicts that she's forced to face easily makes her a very empathetic character. There's a certain level of moments hitting hard and feeling real that I don't see in most JRPGs, let alone other gaming genres. To top off this one-of-a-kind experience, you also have this incredibly unique battle system that could only exist in this generation, where big budget games were allowed to be experimental. Similar to Lenith on the PlayStation 1, there are extremely unforgivable moments and difficulty spiked so hard I had to rely on save states. But it was the game's incredible, one-of-a-kind story and gameplay that made me want to never give up in order to find out what happens next. You know, even as a prequel game, Valkyrie Profile 2 subverts expectations, but once again we're starting to tilt into spoiler territory. My only regret is never recording my gameplay so I could make a review, also the fact that this series is dead, but that's a different topic altogether. So there you have it, my gaming journey of 2024 with what I would consider the best JRPGs I managed to play through. Also, and this might be a little confusing, but please tune in to next time where I'll be doing another top 10 going over the best games I played in 2024 that aren't JRPGs. That's right, this is somewhat of a two-parter which I'll elaborate more on in the next video. But now, I'm curious, what were your favourite JRPG experiences from this year? Also, any feedback on this video would be appreciated. Thanks for watching and have a nice rest of your day.